welcome to another edition of Witness. I'm Raghi Omar. Imagine you're a child, the same as any other child, except for one fundamental difference. Officially, you don't exist. Egypt has acknowledged that there are 14,000 such children, but some claim the figure is as high as 500,000. Where do these children come from? They are the product of something known as Orfi weddings. All that's required for an Orfi marriage is for a couple to say they are married. The catch is that the union is not recognized in a court of law. Egypt is a traditionally conservative society where the man has all the power. If he agrees to acknowledge and register a child born from an Orfi marriage, that's okay. If not, the child is considered illegitimate and there isn't anything anyone can do about it. And generally, it's girls who suffer this fate. One woman refused to let her daughter drift forever in this bureaucratic limbo and took her fight to the highest court in the land. Annie King Underwood travelled to Egypt and met some of the children who don't exist.
Officially, I don't have a name. I grew up without a name. I'm not at school. All my friends are at school. There's no one who's not at school except me. It's only me who's in the streets, and I get very upset when I see them coming back from school all happy. I ask myself, why aren't I like them, going to school?
Not only can Hiba not go to school, but legally she doesn't exist at all because her father didn't register her birth. This is because of the tradition where a woman is deemed an appendage to a man and so doesn't need to be registered. But now, one woman is fighting back. Hind Hanoi is an educated woman from the other side of town who's determined her child won't end up officially a non-person. The father of the child refuses to recognise and register her. So Hind's brought this issue right into the public eye.
Decided to appear more everywhere, TV, newspaper, everything. Not because I want to appear just to make it clear, to tell the people and the public and the leaders and everybody that there is something wrong and this is unfair.
In the back streets of Cairo, a wedding is in full swing. Scenes like this are part of the happy cycle of life. Young couples form relationships with aspirations of marriage, children, and a happy family life. But for many in Egypt, these aspirations are turning sour. Marriage isn't always so clear-cut, and some children aren't being registered. There are 14,000 girls trying to get registered now. Some put the total figure of unregistered births as high as 500,000. In a social system where the man has the upper hand in all matters, whether it be to do with family or official affairs, the official existence of a child depends on his whim.
A lot of the fathers don't register the girls because why should they? She will marry someone else, she will never go to school. So there are many women who do not legally exist. They're much less than before, but when we started 20 years ago, 70% of women in squatter areas did not legally exist.
In a conservative society, not all women feel empowered to take up their case with the authorities. They come for help to centres such as this one in El Menshea district of Cairo, set up by the Association for the Development and Enhancement of Women. These women have given up on their husbands and are trying to get an identity for their children by themselves. Each individual case has its own complications, but the bottom line remains: the father is refusing to give an identity to the child.
I've been trying to get my birth certificate for 5 years. It's something so simple, yet I've been trying so very hard.
The process can be long-winded. Guiding them through the maze of bureaucracy are women like Magda Abdul Raouf.
The basic problem is the refusal to register the girls. This is all down to customs and traditions. We've begun to enlighten the women, show them the importance of having registration papers, and through that, wake them up to their rights, rights which up to now have been lost to them.
The problem extends beyond the poor districts of Cairo. It affects all kinds of women. This little girl is lucky. Her costume designer mother, Hind El Hanoi, is better equipped to fight traditions. Hind claims that Ahmed El Fishawi, a well-known actor here in Egypt, is the father of her child. He denies it.
We were working together, preparing for a sitcom, and we got to know each other more during work, and then we got closer. And then he started to invite me to gatherings with his friends. We started to know each other more. We got a bit closer. And then he opened this issue of Orfi marriage. And for me as well, it was, at that time, it was the best for me because I thought my parents wouldn't have accepted. Because I've got offers from, I guess, for my parents, better husbands, and still they didn't accept. So I didn't want to go through all this hassle.
In 1931, it was decided that marriages should be registered by the state. So those that were registered were known as official marriages, and the ones that weren't were known as Orfi marriages.
Orfi marriage appears to give couples the freedom to develop their relationships without the constraints of the official marriage. But being only semi-legal has its problems, because it doesn't provide women with any of the securities of official marriage. Orfi marriage is not legally accepted, but the religious establishment does recognise such marriages.
Orfi marriage is religiously acceptable. It is halal, so long as the basic conditions are adhered to.
Young people are discussing Orfi marriage more and more these days. In a relatively conservative society, it is a way of getting around the normal constraints and moving love relationships onto a new, more serious level.
We have to ask, why on earth would anyone have an Orfi marriage?
Because to have a real marriage means you've got to have things like a dowry. You've got to pay all the costs of setting up home.
And some people even ask for apartments before they get married.
The head of government-funded Organisation for Childhood and Motherhood recognises the problem.
Orfi marriage now is becoming more common among youngsters, which was never the case before. Orfi marriage was usually happening with older men who are married, and then they marry someone else, Orfi, because they are afraid to announce their marriage. Now we see this among the youngsters, again due to economic pressures.
Hind's supportive family were initially dismayed and angry at the news of their daughter's Orfi marriage. But soon they rallied around her as she decided to take her fight to the courts. They wanted to ensure that their granddaughter is officially registered and has a birth certificate with her father's name on it. Her fight began to attract a lot of public attention when she took the film star she claims is the father of her child to court. But he fought back. Ahmed El Fishawi appeared on TV talk shows refusing to acknowledge his daughter on the grounds that his Orfi marriage to Hind is not valid. The courts took his side against Hind.
I was really shocked when I knew that they refused my case, that the verdict was refusal of the case. The public or the writers or the educated people came out to support me even more than during the case. People supported me more after the case because they felt that it's an unfair verdict. And everybody started thinking about the baby. Where will the baby go?
These girls aren't registered, so would have no choice but to have an Orfi marriage. Today they're visiting the Women's Centre. They have no form of identity, they can't go to school, they can't work, they can't get medical treatment. And all because the father doesn't see the relevance of registering girls. These girls feel isolated within their own families.
They tell me I am not their sister. They say they found me outside the mosque. I feel like I'm not their sister.
Hiba also feels rejected.
I'm Hiba Hassan. I'm 13 years old. It's bad luck that my papers got burnt. My mother says it doesn't matter. Anything to shut me up. But I cry. What can I do?
In Hiba's case, the father claims that as he was going to the bakery, his papers got burnt. But the problem is not the lost papers. There are 2 boys born after Hiba who were registered and can go to school. The problem is that Hiba is a girl, so the implication is, what does she need the registration for? She's a girl.
After the break, I'll be talking to Wafiq Mustafa, chairman of a leading Egyptian community group in the UK.